This is Katie, and today on the My Senses, My Space podcast, I want to talk about inclusion. And these are my thoughts about this. This is how I view things. Almost everyone is a different human being, right? So you may feel differently about some of these things, but I feel it's really important to voice how I feel about including other humans in all areas of life. I'm recording this a couple days after the school shooting in Texas, and so this weighs a little heavier now. Not that all of the shootings are heavier or lighter than any others, but I actually had put this episode together before that happened, and now I feel even more compelled to talk about this. There is this basic human need to feel included in everything that we do. We want to be included in making decisions. We want to be included in friend groups, in school groups, in the office. We want to be included in seeing our importance and being part of a team that maybe accomplished something. And so it's also based on like this essence of our survival, right? I'm not talking about like being an introvert or an extrovert. Like there are times when people, can exclude themselves and say, look, I don't have the energy for something. I need some alone time to recharge. That's a whole different thing. It's about being invited to be included and to be looked at as a valued team member in any area, sports, work, school, any of those things, and be like, yeah, so what do you think about this? Or, hey, would you like to come do this with us? And we form this really early, right? Like we, as children, figure out how to include people. And at that point, it is a natural instinct for kids to say, hey, you want to do this? Hey, you want to include, this person? Let's do this together because it's more fun together. And then over time, we slip into, oh, well, I've learned over time that this person is different from me. I've learned that they may think differently than me, and they experience the world differently from me. So I don't know if I want to include them. It's this, and it's a lot of society and how individual families are bringing up kids. Like if you're in a very conservative family, that you're going to be taught conservative values. If you're in a society who is only teaching from a certain perspective, you are going to learn that perspective and see that that's the way of moving forward. And that's very impressionable on kids. But as you grow up and have more experiences with more people outside of your immediate home and your immediate community, that there's so many differences among us, that then you start to learn, oh, okay, I need to learn how to work together with more people. And how do we work together? And it's hard. It's hard. I'm not saying love it out. I'm not saying, you're just going to get to know someone, like, how do I explain this? It's not about putting your own ideals and values to the side just for the sake of getting along with somebody. I believe there was a time where it was, especially in the business world, where you just don't talk about those things, right? You don't put in your business profile all the personal learning that you do. But right now, it's commonplace. We have gone from, the look of a corporate, we don't talk about anything, to we are these personalized brands, if you're a business owner, and this is what we care about, and this is what I'm speaking up for, and this is what I find important. And so anything from Black Lives Matter to, I want to say like body neutrality, but fat phobia definitely, and speaking up for that, disability awareness and acceptance, trans identity acceptance, and all of these things, and being able to speak up about them. The main thing that is keeping a lot of this back is not being able to talk freely about these different and real lived experiences. And I am not an expert on every single one of these things I'm talking about, because it's not all of my lived experience. But I do know, like, coming from a disability standpoint, talking against fat phobia, just as a cis woman, and just knowing that from this is my viewpoint, but also listening to other people being able to talk about their perspectives is so important. I want to hear what it's like for them to live their day to day and step through their struggles day to day. But when you have states and companies and people silencing others that you're saying that they can't say what their experience is. They're muting, they're silencing what is really necessary and important to hear. So, for instance, like in Florida, when they are saying you can't even say the word gay, and people are coming up with creative ways to get around that because of how idiotic that is, of saying like, well, if you talk about being gay, people will become gay, right? Like how untrue is that? It's not like talking about sex and pregnancy is going to make you pregnant. Like that's not what happens. What happens is the truth gets out there, the truth and shared identities, shared experiences. That's what we need to hear. We need to hear from each other, and we need to listen. We need to listen to these things and not push back truths and step backwards in time and say, hey, we're just not going to talk about that, right? Like, I think our parents and our parents' parents, our grandparents' generation so often did not talk about things. Well, why was that? Why didn't we talk about those hard things? Why didn't we talk about the diversity of humanness in our lives? And that's because they wanted to control and try to say, hey, that doesn't happen in our household. That doesn't happen in our city or our schools or anything, and be in total denial. Because we're not talking about these subjects, it can make it dangerous. It's not like someone isn't going to seek out an abortion. They're still going to happen. They're just going to be more unsafe. And it's not that it's going to keep somebody from being gay because that's who they are, but it's going to make it more unsafe for that gay person to be around people who are just like, no, that's wrong, right? And I know I'm talking a little bit in circles around this, but my main subject is talking about inclusion. When we talk to each other about these experiences in our lives, when we ask each other, hey, can you include what your experience is. I think that's one of the most important things. And so how can we include one another? How can we step through and say, well, it sounds like, excuse me, you're struggling with this kind of thing too. Can we talk about it? And so we can lessen the effects of people trying to have the power to silence us. So this is just kind of an intro. I'm sure I will talk about it more in all my coming episodes, but I felt that just kind of skimming the surface a little bit on this and saying, hey, what are some ways that we can include others? And the number one thing is asking about their experience and including them in our conversations. And one way is just to say, well, how was that for you? How is life like for you? So I hope that helps. And think about that. I would love to hear any responses you have to this. And if you're hearing about my political viewpoints and don't agree, then it's fine. Please unsubscribe from this podcast, because I will keep talking about these kind of things that I support. And so, I can't not talk about them. So I hope you join me next time on the My Senses MySpace podcast, and I would love to hear from you if you have your own insights into things. My email is listen@mysensesmyspace.com, and I would love to hear your viewpoint on any of these things as well. Okay, until next time, thank you for listening.